find the right box in here. Hey, I'm looking for the right crankbait. Springtime, I've been fishing a lot of crankbaits today. I just ain't found the right one. The problem that we all fight as fishermen when it comes to tackle storage is this is a water environment. You're either fishing on the water, it's raining, there's water in your kayak, you fished in the rain, you open your tackle box just like I did now. Water is going to get in your box, no matter if it's waterproof, no matter if your boat is waterproof, no matter what the situation is. At some point, you're going to get moisture inside the box. The thing that I think is probably leading the pack, besides just the looks of this box, the new Plano 3700, they have a new water wick, and it's actually the divider in here. So you can recharge this guy. I think you have to heat it up to like 200 degrees, and it recharges this thing. But the divider, the middle divider, and you can put this divider wherever you want in your tackle box, it is actually a water wicking, NASA infused, engineered. I don't know the science behind it. All I know is I've been putting it in my tackle boxes and I don't have rusted hooks. The water just sucks to this guy. So you put that in there, on top of the fact that this box is, the plastic is infused with what Plano calls rust strictor. So rust strictor, it just keeps all your hooks, all that moisture, it's a chemical that actually keeps your hooks from rusting. So you've got something to actually wick the water out, the big droplets, the big molecules. You hear that word, molecules? You got something to wick that stuff out of there, as well as just normal moisture that you would have in your box. You've got the rust strictor to fight that rust that you would have on your hooks, your swivels, your O-rings, all that kind of deal. Not to mention that the fact that there's a third layer of water protection in the Plano Edge boxes. It's about water, 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 water. We want to keep it out, right? So you've got a rubber seal around the edge so the box is waterproof. But unlike some of our other boxes that have been waterproof in the past, with the new latch on it, it just creates a better seal all the way around the box. So you just got a better watertight seal. It has stainless steel pins to keep the lid on the top, which I like because, you know, for me, I do a little bit of saltwater fishing, so anything that I can use to keep rust out is even more of a problem when you're talking about saltwater fishing. The stainless steel pins, they're strong. I don't have to worry about them breaking, and I don't have to worry about them rusting. So that is it. The Plano 3700, you can get these guys at shopcarls.com. They've got every one that you need to organize your boat, your truck, your shop, your kayak. What else do people fish out of? Your canoe, your log, your pontoon, whatever you need to fish out of. Hey, and I didn't even tell you, you can write what you got in these boxes. You can write it right here and erase it, take it off with a little bit of rubbing alcohol as well. That's the latest thing I got to tell you about the new Plano Edge series. Go to Shop Carl's now. Go find them. Carl is waiting on you. I'm going back fishing. This little guy right here is called the Golden Boy from Catchco, and I'm going to show you some of the best ways you can fish this bait for any season. Oh, crankbait showing out today, dude. Oh, Golden Boy. He's golden, all right. He come up schooling right here under the bridge. I didn't even get to talk about what we're actually going to talk about today. But what we are going to talk about is with crankbaits, angles are important. It's everything, especially when you're talking about a shallow diving crankbait. Getting the correct angle on the bank at the structure you're fishing. It makes all the difference in whether your crankbait hits what you're fishing, and it makes all the difference in whether you're going to get a bite or not. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about today, and hopefully it'll make you a better than average crankbait fisherman. Here, this is a rock bank that we're about to fish here, and a crankbait, in my opinion, is probably one of the best reaction baits. Obviously, you know, jigs, Texas rigs, crawl baits. There's a multitude of different ways you could fish a bank like this. It's got a lot of rock. This is just a creek turn. It's got shelf rock on it, a little bit of chunk rock. And there's a lot of different baits you could use to fish it. But for right now, what I'm trying to do is fish it fairly quickly. I want to cover some water. And
in my opinion, the best reaction bait is going to be a square bill crankbait. Obviously with the square bill, it just deflects off structure a little differently. One thing that I definitely noticed about it, you know, a lot of your crankbaits, you see this crankbait's got like just a real low pitch rattle to it. And anytime that crankbait deflects off a rock, you run it into a rock, it's down there digging, and it deflects off a rock, the pitch of the rattle changes. So it's just down there, it makes a lot of different noises when it's running into the rocks. If you've ever jiggled a crankbait around in the tackle box, you've noticed it makes a lot of different noises. Well, the same thing is going on underwater. Is one reason I like to run my crankbait in the rocks. But the angles, getting that crankbait to run into the rocks, if you don't have the right angle, it's not going to contact the structure. You're not going to get that sound, that audio from it, that audio stimulation from the fish. So you're going to catch less fish. So it's really important when I'm talking about angles. Long story short, I'm talking about boat position, because if you don't have the right boat position, your bait's not coming in contact with the structure and you're just not going to catch as many fish. What I'm trying to do, I know this crankbait is going to dive anywhere between 3 to 5 foot. So I'm going to position my boat. When I look down at my graph, I'm going to position my boat to where I keep the boat in that 3 to 6 foot range, and I'm going to cast down the bank, parallel down the bank. That way the bait stays in the structure longer. So right here, you can say I'm going to cast it down here. Right there is where I think 3 to 6 foot range is going to be. Sometimes I'm going to cast it shallower, sometimes I'm going to cast it a little deeper. But what happens is, when I'm fishing it like this, as opposed to getting off 15, 20 foot off the bank and casting perpendicular to the bank, my bait's in the strike zone longer. And if I do happen to get bit, I have a better read on how shallow or how deep the fish are. So if I throw it really, really close up to the bank like we did earlier today, I throw it up there really close to the rocks, and then I get bait, boom, I catch one. I know that, hey, those fish are feeding a little bit shallower. They're in that 2, there's one right there. Right there, just while I'm trying to talk to you. He's not very big. That fish is up there really, really shallow. So come here, let me do my job, please, sir. I'm trying to do an instructional and you're making it hard on me. It's a little spotted bass. But that fish was up there really shallow, probably more like in 2 foot. So I know to keep my crankbait closer to the bank in that 2 foot range. If I cast out here a little bit more to the right, I can easily get a read on where my crankbait is for the entire retrieve. So I can cast it out to the right, boom, I catch one. Now I know I don't waste time when I'm casting this way. My crankbait's only in 2 foot or 3 foot, wherever the fish we determine to be, only for a small amount of time. When I'm casting parallel like this, it's in that strike zone the entire retrieve back. That is going to help me catch a lot more fish. I don't know what that was. That's going to help me catch a lot more fish. So keeping that bait in the strike zone in the right depth of water, that's going to let you catch a lot more fish. You're going to be a lot more efficient, and long story short, you're going to be able to cover a lot more water. So pay attention to your angles. That's important. Angles is nothing but boat positioning.
S on my chest, whole squad gon' flex. Yeah, you know that's set. They had mentioned competition, I'm here like, what's that? Heard your last 2 tracks, you're not eating all that. Pockets swole on me, since 15, haters been trying to roll on me.